Powerful minds are quiet. They don't rush to prove themselves. They don't chase validation. They don't need to be loud to feel important. Real intelligence moves differently. It observes before it speaks. It listens before it judges. It learns before it claims to know. But the world is full of people who mistake confidence for competence and noise for knowledge. They speak with certainty, but they don't understand depth. They talk with authority, but they don't carry wisdom. They defend opinions they never studied and beliefs they never questioned. This is where false intelligence is born. Not from learning, not from growth, not from discipline, but from ego, comfort, and the fear of looking unsure. And this mindset doesn't just make people loud, it makes them stuck. It traps them in illusions of superiority while their lives quietly fall behind. Today is not about mocking anyone. It's about seeing clearly. It's about separating real intelligence from fake confidence. It's about choosing growth over ego, awareness over pride, and learning over the need to feel right. Because the moment you stop trying to look intelligent and start trying to become intelligent, everything in your life begins to change. People often mistake confidence for intelligence, and that confusion shapes the world more than most realize. Many speak loudly, walk boldly, and move as if they already understand everything, yet their actions show no depth, no discipline, and no real skill. Confidence without competence is one of the most dangerous illusions in human behavior. It feels powerful. It looks convincing. It even attracts followers, but inside it is empty. A person like this builds their identity on the surface, not on substance. They talk before they think. They judge before they understand. They assume before they learn. And because the world often rewards boldness more than patience, they begin to believe their own story. This kind of false confidence grows from insecurity, not strength. When someone does not have real ability, they try to replace it with volume, posture, and presence. They speak with certainty even when they are wrong. They move with pride even when they are lost. They reject correction because correction feels like an attack on their identity. Their mind becomes a closed room locked from the inside. Nothing new enters. Nothing real grows. They mistake attention for respect. They confuse being heard with being right. Over time, this illusion hardens into ego, and ego becomes their armor. True intelligence moves differently. It is quiet, it listens, it watches, it waits. It does not rush to speak because it does not need validation. It does not rush to prove because it is already grounded in skill and awareness. A competent person feels no need to dominate a room. Their presence speaks without effort. Their calm feels heavy. Their words feel measured. Their actions carry weight. But this kind of strength takes time to build, and time is something impatient minds refuse to invest. Many people want the image of intelligence, not the discipline of it. They want the status, not the struggle. They want the respect, not the work. So they create a version of themselves that looks capable but has no foundation. They copy phrases. They repeat ideas they do not understand. They borrow opinions. They follow trends. They build a personality instead of a mind. This is how ignorance learns to wear confidence like a costume. The danger is not just personal, it spreads. When confident ignorance gains influence, it shapes groups, cultures, and decisions. People follow certainty more than truth. They trust tone more than knowledge. They admire boldness more than wisdom. A loud voice can overpower a quiet truth. A simple lie can beat a complex reality. And slowly, the standard of intelligence drops while the volume of confidence rises. But here is the deeper truth. Confidence built without competence always collapses. It cannot sustain pressure. It cannot survive real challenge. It breaks when tested. When responsibility appears, when complexity rises, when consequences arrive, false confidence has nothing to stand on. Panic replaces pride. Anger replaces clarity. Blame replaces responsibility. The mask falls. A person with real strength does not need to pretend. They are not afraid of silence. They are not threatened by smarter people. They are not defensive when corrected. They are curious, not fragile. They are stable, not reactive. They know that learning never ends and growth never finishes. Their confidence comes from effort, failure, practice, and reflection. It is slow built, not borrowed. If you want real power in your mind, stop chasing the image of intelligence and start building the structure of it. Read more than you speak, learn more than you argue, observe more than you perform. Train your thinking. Train your patience. Train your discipline. Intelligence grows in quiet spaces. It forms in repetition. It strengthens in humility. It sharpens through Do not confuse attention with respect. Do not confuse noise with authority. Do not confuse certainty with truth. The world is full of people who look sure but understand little. Their confidence is loud because their foundation is weak. Real strength does not need to announce itself. Real intelligence does not need applause. Real competence does not need approval. Build yourself in silence. Strengthen your mind when no one is watching. Learn when others are performing. Practice when others are posting. Grow when others are talking. Over time, your presence will change. Your energy will change. Your words will carry weight. Your silence will carry more weight than their noise. When confidence rises from competence, it becomes unshakable. It does not fear challenge. It does not fear smarter minds. It does not fear failure. It adapts, it evolves, it improves, it stays grounded. The world may reward loudness for a moment, but life rewards depth forever. Intelligence built slowly lasts. Skill built quietly dominates. Power built honestly endures. And when you move with real understanding, you no longer need to convince anyone of who you are. Your presence will already. Many people believe that being loud means being smart. They think the person who talks the most must know the most. They assume the one who interrupts, dominates conversations, and fills every silence with words is the leader of the room. But noise is not intelligence. Noise is often just insecurity trying to hide itself. A noisy mind cannot sit in silence because silence forces self-reflection, and self-reflection exposes weakness. So the noise continues. Talking becomes a shield. Volume becomes a disguise. Some people speak fast so no one can question them. Some speak constantly so no one else can think. Some raise their voice to feel powerful. Some perform confidence so they do not have to build it. This behavior feels strong on the outside, but inside it is empty. It has no structure. No clarity, no depth, just motion without direction. Real intelligence does not rush to fill space. It understands timing. It understands restraint. It understands when silence is more powerful than words. A thoughtful mind observes first. It listens. It reads the room. It feels the energy, it notices patterns, it connects ideas, it processes before it responds. This kind of mind does not compete for attention. It allows attention to come naturally. Noise-driven people mistake reaction for leadership. They mistake speed for clarity. They mistake confidence in tone for truth in meaning. They speak before they understand. They react before they think. They respond before they process. Their mind moves fast, but it moves in circles. Always busy, never deep. This kind of noise creates the illusion of control. It makes others hesitate. It makes some people step back. It creates pressure, but pressure is not respect. Intimidation is not influence. Volume is not authority. These are surface effects, not real power. True intelligence creates calm. It slows situations down. It brings clarity, not chaos. It simplifies confusion instead of adding to it. It does not need to overpower others. It does not need to dominate space. It does not need to perform strength. Its presence alone shifts the energy. Noisy people fear being ignored. They fear being invisible. They fear being seen as ordinary. So they become exaggerated, they become dramatic, they become extreme. They create an identity built on attention. Without attention, they feel small. Without reactions, they feel empty. But a strong mind does not depend on reactions. It is stable with or without attention. It does not need approval to exist. It does not need validation to feel real. It does not need noise to feel powerful. Silence builds discipline. Silence builds control. Silence builds awareness. A person who can stay calm in quiet moments develops a stronger mind than a person who always needs sound. Stillness trains focus. Stillness trains patience. Stillness trains self-control. Noise-based intelligence. When real problems appear, when complex decisions are needed, when responsibility arrives, loud minds struggle. They panic. They blame. They deflect. They react emotionally. Their confidence disappears because it was never real. It was borrowed from attention, not built from understanding. Depth works differently. Depth creates stability. Depth creates clarity. Depth creates calm thinking under pressure. Depth creates strong decisions. Depth creates long-term strength, not short-term image. If you want real power in your mind, learn to respect silence. Learn to pause before you speak. Learn to think before you react. Learn to observe before you judge. Learn to process before you respond. These habits change the way your brain works. They build structure inside your thinking. Stop trying to sound smart. Start trying to become sharp. Stop trying to impress. Start trying to improve. Stop performing intelligence. Start building it. The quiet mind sees more. The quiet mind understands more. The quiet mind grows faster. The quiet mind becomes dangerous in the best way because it is controlled, aware, and grounded. Noise fades, presence lasts, volume disappears, depth remains, attention shifts. Substance stays. When your intelligence becomes calm, your confidence becomes real. When your confidence becomes real, your presence becomes heavy. When your presence becomes heavy, you no longer need noise to be seen. People feel you before you speak. They sense your control. They respect your silence. That is when you stop chasing attention and start commanding it without effort. Ego grows loud when self-awareness is weak. A person who does not understand themselves will protect an image instead of building character. They become obsessed with how they look instead of who they are. They defend their identity more than their actions. They care more about appearing right than being right. This is how false intelligence is created. Not from learning, not from discipline, not from growth, but from protecting pride. Ego makes people allergic to correction. The smallest feedback feels like an attack. The simplest advice feels like disrespect. A different opinion feels like a threat. Their mind closes the moment their identity feels challenged. They stop listening. They stop processing. They stop thinking clearly. All energy goes into defense, not understanding, not improvement, not reflection, just protection. This is why some people never grow, not because they lack opportunity, not because they lack access, not because they lack resources, but because their ego blocks learning. They cannot admit weakness. They cannot admit confusion. They cannot admit mistakes. And if a person cannot admit ignorance, they can never gain wisdom. A strong mind does not fear being wrong. It uses being wrong as a tool. It studies it. It learns from it. It builds from it. A weak mind hides from being wrong because being wrong feels like losing identity. So they argue. They deny. They shift blame, they create excuses, they rewrite stories, anything to protect the image they built. Ego-driven people talk about growth but avoid discomfort. They speak about success but avoid discipline. They claim intelligence but They repeat phrases, quotes, and opinions they heard from others, but they do not understand them. Their knowledge is borrowed. Their confidence is borrowed. Their identity is borrowed. Self-awareness is different. Self-awareness is quiet. It is honest. It is uncomfortable. It forces reflection. It forces responsibility. It forces accountability. It forces humility. It forces growth. A self-aware person notices their patterns. They notice their reactions. They notice their triggers. They notice their habits. They notice their emotional responses. They study themselves without lying to themselves. That honesty builds power. Ego builds walls. Self-awareness builds structure. Ego creates blindness. Self-awareness creates clarity. Ego creates conflict. Self-awareness creates control. An ego-driven mind needs to win arguments. A self-aware mind needs to understand reality. An ego-driven mind competes. A self-aware mind improves. An ego-driven mind performs. A self-aware mind evolves. People with big egos talk about themselves constantly. They turn every conversation into a stage. They redirect every topic back to their story, their opinion, their experience, their success, their struggles. They do not listen to understand. They listen to reply. They do not ask to learn. They ask to control. Self-aware people move differently. They listen more than they speak. They process more than they react. They observe more than they judge. They are calm because they are not protecting an image. They are grounded because they are not performing a role. Ego creates fragile confidence. One comment can break it. One failure can shake it. One loss can destroy it. One criticism can collapse it because it was built on perception, not foundation. Self-awareness creates stable confidence. It survives failure. It survives loss. It survives rejection. It survives criticism because it is built on understanding, not approval. A person ruled by ego always feels attacked. They live in defense mode. They feel disrespected easily. They feel challenged easily. They feel threatened easily. Their nervous system stays tense. Their mind stays reactive. Their emotions stay. A self-aware person stays calm. They do not personalize everything. They do not dramatize everything. They do not internalize every comment. They choose what matters and what does not. They protect their mental space. False intelligence is loud, sensitive, reactive, defensive, and emotional. Real intelligence is calm, grounded, reflective, stable, and controlled. If you want real power in your mind, weaken your ego and strengthen your awareness. Study your reactions, question your beliefs, observe your patterns, notice your weaknesses without shame. Accept your limits without fear. Build your mind instead of protecting your image. You do not grow by proving you are right. You grow. Opinions become dangerous when they exist without understanding. People start speaking before they think. They repeat what they hear without checking it. They defend ideas they never studied. They argue points they never explored. They choose sides without knowing the full story. This is how confusion turns into confidence and noise turns into influence. A person with shallow thinking talks in certainty. They speak in strong tones. They use bold words. They show zero doubt, not because they are informed, but because doubt feels uncomfortable to them. Silence feels weak to them. Pausing feels like losing, so they fill every space with words. They dominate conversations, not with clarity, but with volume. Real understanding moves differently. It is slower, it listens first, it observes, it checks patterns, it compares perspectives. It questions itself, it waits before forming conclusions, it respects complexity. It knows that most things in life are not simple, and most truths are not clean or easy. People who lack understanding see the world in extremes, right or wrong, good or bad, win or lose. Use or them, this kind of thinking feels powerful, but it is fragile. It cannot handle nuance. It cannot handle disagreement. It cannot handle complexity. It collapses when reality becomes layered. This is why arguments with these people go nowhere. They are not searching for truth. They are searching for victory. They are not trying to understand. They are trying to dominate. They are not open to learning. They are open only to confirming what they already believe. Their opinions become part of their identity, so when you question their opinion, they feel personally attacked. They do not separate ideas from self. They do not separate belief from ego. Everything becomes personal. Everything becomes emotional. Everything becomes a battle. This creates mental stagnation. The mind stops growing. Curiosity dies. Learning slows. Reflection disappears. Growth becomes impossible. The person becomes trapped in a closed mental system where only familiar ideas are allowed to exist. A mind like this does not evolve. It repeats, it recycles, it copies. It borrows, it echoes, it never creates, it never builds, it never expands. A disciplined mind works differently. It understands that having an opinion is not the same as having knowledge. It knows that speaking is not the same as thinking. It knows that confidence is not the same as intelligence. It knows that repetition is not the same as truth. A disciplined mind studies before it speaks. It listens before it reacts. It questions before it believes. It checks before it shares. It reflects before it judges. This creates clarity. This creates depth. This creates wisdom. People who think deeply are not loud. They do not rush into debates. They do not chase arguments. They do not feel the need to dominate conversations. They do not need to prove themselves constantly. Their calm comes from understanding, not insecurity. When someone has real understanding, they choose their words carefully. They speak with intention. They speak with control. They speak with purpose. They do not waste energy on empty talk. Noise creates attention, and anyone can form an opinion. Very few people build understanding. Opinions are cheap. Understanding takes time. It takes effort. It takes patience. It takes discipline. It takes humility. This is why shallow thinkers feel confident quickly. They do not carry mental weight. They do not carry complexity. They do not carry responsibility. Their ideas are light, so they speak fast. Their thoughts are simple, so they speak loud. Deep thinkers move slower because they carry depth, they carry awareness, they carry responsibility. They carry understanding. Their silence is not weakness, it is control. If you want real intelligence, slow your mind, stop reacting, stop rushing to speak, stop chasing validation. Start observing, start listening, start learning, start questioning yourself, start studying reality instead of defending opinions. Build understanding, not identity around ideas. Build clarity, not noise. Build wisdom, not performance. The world is voices, and Bessie have the Asachi is full of voices. The world is full of voices. Very few carry truth. Very few carry depth. Very few carry real intelligence. Those who do not need to shout, their presence speaks, their calm speaks, their discipline speaks, their awareness speaks. When you move from opinion to understanding, your mind becomes sharp, your words become rare, your influence becomes real. Your power becomes silent, and people feel it without you having to prove anything. The clearest sign of low intelligence is not lack of knowledge. It is the refusal to grow. It is the decision to stay the same while the world changes. It is choosing comfort over learning, pride over progress, and habit over improvement. A closed mind feels safe, but it slowly becomes a prison. Some people stop learning because they believe they already know enough. They become comfortable in their views. They become attached to their routines. They trust old ideas more than new information. They reject change not because it is wrong, but because it is unfamiliar. Growth feels uncomfortable to them. New thinking feels threatening. Different perspectives feel dangerous. So they defend the old version of themselves. They protect outdated beliefs. They cling to old habits. They repeat the same patterns. They live in mental routines that feel safe but keep them small. This is how people become stuck without realizing it. Life moves forward, but their mind stays in the same place. The world changes, but they do not. Systems evolve, but they resist. Skills change, but they refuse to update. Knowledge expands, but they confuse stability with strength. They confuse comfort with wisdom. They confuse tradition with truth. A rigid mind cannot survive in a changing world. It breaks slowly. It becomes irrelevant quietly. It loses influence silently, not through failure, but through stagnation. People who refuse to learn always blame the outside world. They blame society. They blame technology. They blame systems. They blame people. They blame change. They never look inward. They never question themselves. They never ask what they need to improve. This creates a cycle where they feel smarter than others, but fall behind in reality. They feel superior, but their results shrink. They feel confident, but their progress stops. They feel certain, but their life becomes smaller. A growing mind works differently. It stays open, it stays curious, it stays alert. It listens, it adapts, it updates, it improves, it evolves. A growing mind does not fear change. It studies it. It does not fight new ideas. It tests them. It does not reject new paths. It evaluates them. It does not fear being wrong. It values learning more than. Real intelligence is flexible. It adjusts, it shifts, it adapts, it grows with reality instead of resisting it. People who grow understand that learning never ends. They do not see growth as a phase. They see it as a lifestyle. They do not learn to prove others wrong. They learn to become better. They change habits when habits stop working. They update thinking when thinking becomes outdated. They improve systems when systems become inefficient. They evolve skills when skills lose value. This is how power is built quietly. This is how success lasts. This is how influence grows. This is how stability is created. Refusing to learn feels strong in the short term. Adapting creates power in the long term. A person who adapts stays relevant. A person who learns stays sharp. A person who grows stays dangerous. A person who evolves stays ahead. The world does not reward stubborn minds. It rewards adaptive minds. It does not reward loud certainty. It rewards quiet intelligence. It does not reward ego. It rewards discipline. If you want real power, keep your mind moving, keep learning, keep updating, keep growing, keep evolving. Never lock yourself into a single way of thinking. Never let pride block progress. Never let comfort stop growth. Satiation, spation, usation. When your mind stays open, your life stays open. When your thinking evolves, your opportunities expand. When your mindset grows, your power increases. A real intelligence is built. Not through pride, not through noise, not through confidence without depth, but through learning, adapting, and staying mentally alive. The mind that grows becomes unstoppable. The mind that adapts becomes powerful. The mind that learns becomes dangerous in the best way, and the person who keeps evolving will always stand above those who choose to stay the same.